Hey guys, this is Christy with the ADHD Tarot, and today I'm gonna do like a week ahead reading, just a quick 3 card deal. I was trying to do like a Tuesday check-in, and I completely forgot about it. So I think I'm gonna try to do like a week ahead thing on Sundays. Let me know if that's something you'd be interested in. But either way, I'm gonna post this later on the ADHD Tarot. So you know, it'll be there for you to refer back to if you want to look at what we pulled or, maybe figure out what that means for you. Usually, I find when I read something, at first, I can't really connect it because obviously the week hasn't happened yet. But if you go back to it after the week and see where those themes played out, you'll usually see some sign of, yeah, that happened, or it happened, but I didn't expect it to happen that way. So I'm doing my Quiet Rebel Tarot deck again, which I seem to come back to a lot just because I really like the collage design, but I also like how the cards are sort of like get a grip. And I feel like coming out of Mercury retrograde, a lot of us are moving forward with our plans and maybe we're a little mired in maybe I shouldn't be doing this or should I be doing this. So let's see what comes up here. First card is the energy you're entering your week with. As I shuffle. Also, I got a haircut. I don't know if anyone noticed, but I'm really happy with it. It's nice to not have my hair like bothering my neck. I don't like having too much hair on my neck. So here we go. Okay. Energy you're entering the week with is the done and dusted 8 of Cups. So if you look at him, he's basically taking out the trash, right? I think that's what he's doing. Oh no, he's a chimney sweep, but it kind of looks like a trash bag, right? He's a chimney sweep and he's basically saying something is coming to an end, something is done. And, especially after retrograde, this might have happened for you. You might have seen something that had to end for you. Or for me, like I saw certain habits that I needed to end. And I'm going to talk about that more on my other Substack. But this is saying for you, the energy you're entering this week is like I'm done with this specific thing. And chances are you already know what that thing is. So think carefully about what's coming up for you that you're sort of over it, whether it's, a certain habit or a certain situation. That's what this card is telling you. Okay? So card 2 is where to focus your attention this week. And if anyone has any questions, drop them in the chat for sure. But I feel like it's pretty clear, right? The first card saying basically you're sort of entering the week like I've had it and you're ready for something new. And that works well with retrograde, of course, because that's where we're at. We're finishing something that, maybe we were stuck and now we're getting out of that stuckness. Where to focus your attention this week? The free radical. The Fool. So that's kind of funny because that's kind of the vibe of the Fool too, right? The Fool is new things, new adventures, new territory, going into a whole new phase. And a lot of times the Fool is seen as foolhardy because it's the Fool, right? And maybe not thinking things through. But this card is saying you want to think about new things you could do this week, maybe new directions, new habits, new ways of approaching things. And, the Fool is often made fun of because it's often thought if you don't plan ahead, that's you not being very smart. But this is actually your strength. And with ADHD, a lot of us feel bad that we jump into new things all the time or we don't finish what we start. But this is your strength right now. The strength is that you're going to focus your attention this week on something new and maybe even looking at new situations or new possibilities, right? But either way, we're being told we're done with the old, we're done with what was happening before, and we should be focusing on what we can do next, what new things we can do, okay? So then card 3 is what to release and not carry into the week. Getting better at shuffling, everybody, just so you know. Very proud of that. I'm not the greatest shuffler. When I was younger, I did a lot of card games. Like this was pre smartphone. So us young people, we did things like play cards. And I learned how to do like the shuffle really well, but I got out of practice. So let's see what this says. Okay, card 3 is the hot shot. Okay, so hot shot is Queen of Wands. So I feel like this is a card of control, right? It's a card of I know what I'm doing, I know where I'm going. The Queen of Wands is pretty decisive, but she's also a person of ideas and she knows what she wants to do. She knows where her ideas are going and she's putting them into reality. And normally this is a card you want. But in this context, you're being told you don't have to know exactly what you're doing right now. You don't have to have a clear plan or a clear idea. And that goes back to the fool, right? The fool doesn't know where they're going. The fool is literally jumping off the cliff. And you're being told that's not only, fine, it's encouraged right now because you want to look into new possibilities, new ways of being, new habits. And a lot of us, like if you're in, the United States, you're experiencing spring. So it's a new time, it's a new season. You want to get rid of the things that weren't serving you. And if you live somewhere where, the snow is finally melting, you're starting to see the flowers, you're starting to see life. And this is, telling you you don't have to know exactly what you're doing. And we all want to know where we're going and that what we're doing is going to pay off. And we want to see the results. But this card is telling you release that need to know that your ideas are going to take off. So you're just sort of jumping. You're going into this new thing, possibly, and you're being asked to let go of the control. And it's funny because a friend of mine did a little reading for me, and what kept coming up was control. And a lot of us tend to be this way, especially with ADHD. We tend to over control things because we're so used to messing things up. We don't want to keep repeating the same mistakes, right? So you have to remember you're not being asked to keep making mistakes. You're being asked to try new things, and then you're being asked to let go of the control around it. You're not going to see results right away. And this is something I think a lot of us sabotage ourselves thinking we need to see results right away. But most things take like 5 to 10 years to build, right? If you're thinking of businesses or you're thinking of any sort of thing that you're doing, very rarely is it going to take off right away. So you have to get used to this sort of period of not knowing and not being in control. And I think what I'm going to do is pull some oracle cards for some practical steps, okay? So I got my Quiet Rebel Oracle deck, which I love. And we'll see. It's kind of, I feel like releasing control is less action steps and more just letting go and not trying to constantly second guess things or project ahead. And that takes time. But let's see some action steps here. Long game strategy. So that's pretty good because what this is saying is you need to sort of trust that whatever you're doing is part of a long-term gain and a strategy. And it plays what I was saying really well, right? You're not going to see results right away. So you need to start these new endeavors, whatever they are, or these new inquiries, and not expect to see results. And just realize it's part of a strategy. And that strategy may change too, right? We're not necessarily going to stay with the same thing. All the people I know who have been really successful are people who could be flexible and pivot and do many different things. Like very few people, especially now, are good at just one thing. They learn multiple different things, and if they get an opportunity, they try new things. So I think that's what this is saying. It's kind of like just go with it. The underdog, underestimation. So you don't want to underestimate yourself either, right? You don't want to think, I can't do this or I'm not cut out for this. You don't know until you try. So a lot of us think we need to be this person all the time and we need to be fully in control 100%. But this is saying it's okay to be the underdog and it's okay to not know exactly what's going on yet. And it's okay to, you're going to underestimate yourself possibly, or other people will underestimate you. But what matters is that you keep trying new things and don't let that underestimation get to you. So this week, I'm seeing, you're sort of trying to have this strategy play out for yourself. Like maybe your strategy is, I'm just going to try this thing and see how it goes and see where it leads. But you're also being okay with being underestimated and being a beginner. And I think that's another key here. Like a lot of times we stick with something because we're good at it and it doesn't really make us happy, but it's easier than trying a whole new thing. And I think this is saying, like, it's okay to be a beginner, it's okay to be underestimated, but what matters is that you're trying new things and you're okay with playing the long game. Because again, no matter who you are, like 90% of the time, even Taylor Swift, it took her a while before people were willing to give her a chance, right? And obviously that worked out pretty well for her. So let's pull another Oracle card here. Okay. The Art of Disappearing, Retreat. So that's interesting because I think what this is saying is don't be afraid to let go of things that aren't working for you. I'm actually in that phase myself, and I'm about to talk more about that on Not Your Average Athlete. Basically, I'm totally rebooting the way I was doing something for a long time. And I think it's saying it's okay to retreat and get out of whatever it is that you're doing that's not working. It's okay to pull a disappearing act. And I think that happens sometimes. We stick with things and we're convinced, okay, I'll just ride it out. And sometimes what we really need to do is let go of that thing. And I think this is a good challenge for everyone here. And I'm going to repeat this call to action at Not Your Average Athlete. Is there something that is holding you back? Can you identify one thing that's really making things more difficult for you? And again, I'm not encouraging anyone to quit their job or go move across the country or do anything really, really crazy dramatic. But if there's something you feel like you can give up that will make your life easier, now might be a good time to do that, especially now that we're out of retrograde. So, all these work together, right? So, looking at these, you're clearly at the end of the road here with something, you're done with something. You're being told to look in new directions, look at new opportunities. And then you're being told you don't have to have it all figured out yet. You don't have to know where it's going for it to be something good to do. And then, of course, our oracles, we got strategy, underestimation, and retreating. So, I think this is sort of also telling you that this can be your strategy, right? You can try new things and see where they go. You can let go of certain things and use yourself as an experiment. See what helps you and what doesn't. Like, I think we all get very anxious about trying new things. We don't want to mess things up, right? But this is telling you, like, give it a shot. Just for the heck of it, I'm going to draw a couple from this other deck that I just got. It's called the Star Seeker Oracle. I'll show you the box here. And I love the artwork on this. The artwork is beautiful. And just maybe, confirmation of what this is saying. Let's shuffle them well. Amends. So this could be, I'm showing you amends. Not quite sure if it's coming up as clear on yours or if it's backwards, but I think this is telling you, like, you need to also forgive yourself or forgive other people. The only way you can move forward is if you're willing to make amends with what you've done in the past or what other people have done to you. It doesn't really matter right now. And I'm not saying it's not difficult or painful, but you have to make amends with either choices you've made or choices other people have made to move ahead. So I think the only way all this is working is if you let go of some of that regret that you may have around things you may or may not have done. So personally, I've felt regret over not taking my health more seriously. I always just sort of assumed I could do what I did when I was in my 20s, which is, sort of eat junk food and still be fit and still be, in my competitive weight for my sports. That's not true. I found that out the hard way. So, making amends means you have to be okay with the things you've done and realize it's all a learning opportunity as well. So, maybe you made these mistakes, maybe things didn't work out, maybe you're being underestimated, or maybe you feel like all this stuff you did was for nothing. This card is telling you that's not true. It's saying you need to be okay with what you did in the past and make amends with yourself or with others so you can move forward, because you can't move forward if you're stuck in this regret loop, right? And let's just pull one more just for fun. Depletion. And again, it's important, when you're making these changes, you don't want to make everything all at once. So for me, I'm going to make a dramatic change, but you don't want to make several all at once, because then you're giving yourself too much homework. You're making it more difficult. So this card is, I think, warning you that while you're doing all this stuff that you're changing or revamping, you also don't want to make the mistake of getting too overwhelmed and depleting yourself. And I really like the image there because the cracks are there, and it's showing that, you know, even though there's these beautiful cracks, you can't really contain the energy in there. But it can also like leak out, and that depletes you. So maybe when you're doing all this, try to find one specific thing you're willing to commit to letting go of. Maybe don't overhaul your entire life right now. Um, I'm actually doing sort of my own overhaul. I'm changing three things, but the main thing is something that is going to help all the other two. So, you want to make sure you're not depleting yourself. And I think this whole reading is really encouraging because a lot of us felt stuck, especially in the winter. We tend to get sort of mired in whatever's going on. And now spring is here. It's a time for us to figure out what it is we really want and go after it, even if we don't 100% know. Like, you're not 100% going to be this lady right now. You're not going to be the Queen of Wands. You're not going to know exactly what ideas are going to work or what things are going to work. And you have to sort of release control around that, right? And the way we do that is by seeing all this as a long game, not it's sort of a strategy that you're doing, seeing it not as something immediately going to pay off. You also have to be okay with being underestimated, releasing that need to be seen as the expert. And a lot of us love to be the expert. We want people to like us and find us useful. So we make ourselves really useful. This is saying be okay with being an underdog this week. Be okay with that fool's journey of new things, right? And then be okay with retreating. And this is another part that we don't want to finish. We don't want to, or we don't want to not finish what we're doing. We want to push through because we might have been told, oh, you're flaky or you're lazy. So we push through, and that doesn't serve us though, because see, this retreat is saying you have to be okay with letting go of things that aren't serving you. Even if it makes you look like a flake, even if it makes you look a little less authoritative, you need to walk away from something. And again, nothing dramatic. Don't quit your job. But, whatever it is that's not working for you, this is encouraging you to retreat from it. And then we get these final cards, right? We get amends and depletion. Ooh. So amends is telling us we need to be okay with what we've done in the past and any mistakes we made. It could have been during this retrograde. Maybe you were thinking about all the ways you messed up. This card is saying you need to make amends for that. You need to be okay with that. Whatever happened to you or whatever you did to yourself, this is the time to let it go so that you can move forward. And then you have depletion. Again, you don't want to deplete yourself when you're making these changes. You want to just maybe focus on one thing right now so you don't get in this scenario where you're all excited and enthusiastic and then 2 days from now you give up because you're overwhelmed. You want to guard against that depletion. And this week you might have a lot of new things coming at you, demanding your attention, or you might be pursuing a lot of new things. But maybe just focus on either the one thing that's really most exciting or on removing the one thing that is depleting you. That's again, that you want to retreat from. Focus on that. Focus on either the thing you're doing, the new thing, or removing that thing. You could do both, but it's going to feel a little bit more like a balancing act. So I hope this helps. And if anyone has any questions, you could drop them in the chat. I'm going to be posting this on the ADHD Tarot with a little write up, but I just wanted to make sure everyone had a little bit of an idea where their week is going. And I'm going to try to do this every week. So keep an eye out. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. And if you are a subscriber, maybe consider upgrading to a paid subscription. Even though I do 95% of my work for free, most of my posts are free. I also have, some paid offerings that are pretty cool. Zodiac mini readings every month where I give you your sign and some cards that tell you what your month's going to be. I have an ADHD Tarot AI tool. I'm working on some new things. So there's a lot to remember, but basically the gist of this reading is some old things are going out. You're done with them. The energy you're entering this week with is I'm done with this thing, whatever it is. That you're being asked to focus your attention on being the Fool, new things, new opportunities, new ways of thinking maybe. And you're also being told you don't have to know everything right now. You don't have to be the Queen of Wands who has everything together, who knows that her ideas are valid. So you're taking all this as a strategy. Long term, yeah, no problem, Katarina. I'll definitely be posting the whole thing. I'm sort of giving you a little bit of a Cliff Notes version. The long game strategy, again, these are little action items that I'm doing with the oracles, by the way. Long game is going to be your strategy, and you're seeing what you're doing as a strategy that's not necessarily going to be clear. You don't have an XYZ, this is exactly why I'm doing this thing yet, probably. But this is a strategy for you to move ahead and just see what works, right? It's sort of an experiment. You're experimenting on yourself, kind of. And then you're being encouraged, and I think this is, now that I'm looking at these all pair pretty well with the main cards. So the long game, done and dusted, which is the Eight of Cups, paired together basically mean it's okay to let go of these things, and it's okay to have a strategy of just figuring out what works, right? And not being super determined to make this be the thing. Free radical, the Fool, is paired with, sort of unintentionally, the underdog, underestimation. So part of being a fool is being underestimated. And you're new to this. You're new to whatever it is you're doing. So you have to be okay with being underestimated. And it's going to feel uncomfortable, especially if you like being an expert. But this is asking you to be the underdog for a little while and maybe be underestimated, but be okay with that. And then the best thing, Queen of Wands and Art of Disappearing Retreat is basically saying it's okay to not know where you're going with things, and it's okay to let go of things that aren't serving you right now. So you probably have something in your head, it's really not working. This is giving you permission this week to let go of it. Maybe not big things, maybe not like your job or anything, but little things that are kind of holding you back. That's what these are telling you. And then I got the two cards at the end, which we have amends and we have depletion. Amends is saying you need to make peace with yourself for who you were in the past, and make peace with being, making those mistakes, or whoever came into your life made things more difficult. You want to make amends, because if you don't make amends, nothing's going to change, right? You have to make amends to move forward. Depletion is telling you, again, kind of like the retreat card, actually. You want to be able to let go of things, but you also don't want to overwhelm yourself with things this week. So maybe you're going to have a lot of cool things going on that demand your attention. Maybe that Fool energy, you're going to go in like 5 different directions. This one's telling you guard against depletion. So make sure you only maybe focus on either pursuing one thing or letting go of one thing, and then seeing what happens. A lot of times when we let go of things, new things come in. So, choose your poison, whatever make sense for you this week. But either way, I think it's a really good sign, especially coming out of retrograde. So I hope everyone has a great rest of your Sunday and a great week ahead. I'm going to post this for you and hope to see you next week. And hopefully, where I live, it will actually stop snowing and or raining and actually act like spring. So take care, guys. Thanks, Sam. I appreciate the comment, and we'll talk to you guys again next weekend.